The report you never saw wasn't destroyed. It was replaced. And the version that survived wasn't mine. The morning after, everyone acted like the danger had passed. That's what institutions do when they survive something they can't explain. They sanitize it. They turn it into procedure, into bullet points, into lessons learned. By 9 a.m., the official language had already taken shape. Heightened readiness, temporary tension, mutual deconfliction. No one said, "We almost launched because we waited too long to admit we were scared." No one said a single word in a single report delayed human control long enough for the machine to reach for the wheel. And no one, absolutely no one, said what I discovered at 10:16 a.m. The debrief began in a room so clean it felt hostile. White walls, a long table, no windows. The kind of place designed to make you feel small without raising a voice. I was handed a printed copy of my report. Not the draft, not the revisions I sent at 4:41 and 4:52. The final official record. I read the first page. Probability of hostile intent, moderate. I blinked, certain I'd misread it. I flipped to the timestamp. The version stamped into the archive didn't contain my correction. The report that survived wasn't the report I sent. Someone had overwritten history. I looked up. This isn't the final. No one reacted. A man in a dark suit, no insignia, no badge visible, tapped the paper with one finger as if he were closing a case file. "This is what will be referenced," he said. I felt my throat tighten. "But that's not what happened." He smiled in a way that wasn't friendly. "It is what happened officially." The room remained calm. That's how you know you're not in a debate. You're in a decision. I tried again, slower, controlled. The escalation occurred. The hotline call, the submarine doors, the automated recommendation, all of that happened after the correction. The man didn't deny it. He simply moved to the next page like none of it mattered. "Your actions contributed to stability," he said. "We appreciate that." I stared at him. "You erased my amendment." "We corrected the narrative," he replied. "Narrative, not record, not truth, narrative." Then he said the sentence that turned my blood to ice. "Do you understand why we can't archive a version that implies uncertainty in our chain of command?" I understood immediately. If the archived report showed that the system hesitated, it would become proof that deterrence could be broken by delay. It would become ammunition. Inside Washington, inside Moscow, inside every allied capital, for people who wanted faster triggers, shorter decision windows, and fewer humans in the loop. The fear wasn't that the world would know. The fear was that the world would learn the wrong lesson. I swallowed. "So you're lying?" He tilted his head. "We're preventing misinterpretation." The debrief moved on like a train that refused to stop at the station. They asked about my shift, my team, my process. Then the questions shifted, not about the Soviets, about me. "Who called you at 0217? What did they say? Did they instruct you to soften the language?" I answered carefully. I didn't want to say too much, but I also didn't want to lie on record. "I was advised," I said. There was concern about false positives. The man in the suit wrote something down. The air in the room changed, not louder, sharper. "Advised," he repeated. "By whom?" "I don't know his name." "Did you recognize his voice?" "No." Another pause. Then, "Did you speak to anyone outside this facility about your initial assessment?" I frowned. "Of course not." He nodded slowly, as if I'd passed a test I didn't know I was taking. Then he slid a second folder across the table. My name on it, not typed, stamped. A red stamp I'd only seen on the worst files. The stamp didn't say classified, it said sensitive. And below it, a smaller line. "Contact restrictions apply. Your access will change," he said. I laughed once, not because it was funny, because it was absurd. "You're punishing me?" He leaned back. "We're protecting the agency." "From what?" He looked at me as if the answer should be obvious, from the idea that a single analyst can move the world. That's when I realized what they were actually doing. They weren't rewriting the report to protect stability. They were rewriting it to protect power. Because if one analyst's language could nearly end the world, then the story had to become something else. A controlled incident, managed calmly, resolved by leadership, not by a panicked system, not by a delayed correction, not by a human admitting they were wrong, then trying to fix it at the last possible second. The meeting ended with handshakes and quiet instructions. I returned to my desk and found my badge access partially revoked. Certain doors no longer opened. Certain terminals no longer accepted my credentials. And on my chair, placed neatly like a gift, I found a small slip of paper. A one-line directive. You will not discuss the events of 406 with any unauthorized party. No signature. Just the weight of an invisible hand. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment I changed the word back to hi. I kept hearing the Russian voice on the speaker. This posture cannot hold. I kept seeing the submarine doors open. Then, around 1:30 a.m., my home phone rang. I didn't give that number to anyone at work. I let it ring twice before I answered. Silence. Then breathing. Then a voice I recognized. Not from a face, from a feeling. The same voice from Su-217. Good, he said softly. You're awake. My skin went cold. What do you want? I asked. He didn't answer directly. He asked a question instead. Do you know what happens to people who become the story? I gripped the phone harder. I didn't ask to be the story. A quiet chuckle. No one does. I tried to keep my voice steady. You told me to soften it. I didn't tell you, he corrected. I offered you a choice, and then you erased my correction. Another pause. Then, I didn't erase anything. My stomach dropped. If he didn't erase it, then someone else had. Someone higher, someone closer to the part of the machine that decided what truth would be archived. The voice continued, calm as a surgeon. You think this is about your report, he said. It isn't. Then what is it about? It's about the next time, he replied. Because there will be a next time. And now the systems have learned something. What? They learned that humans blink, he said. I could hear a faint hum behind his voice, like an office at night, like fluorescent lights. I put the truth in your hands once, he said. You changed it, then you changed it back. You think that's the end. My throat tightened. What are you saying? I'm saying that someone wants the next window to close faster, he said. And someone else wants you to be blamed when it does. My pulse hammered. Why me? Because you're convenient, he said. You have the timestamps, you have the drafts, you have the guilt. I swallowed hard. What do you want me to do? He let the silence stretch long enough to feel like a threat. Then he said it. Keep a diary. I froze. What? Write what happened, he said. Write what they erase. Write what they will deny. Because when the next window closes, someone will need a record that wasn't approved. My mouth went dry. That's treason, I whispered. He laughed softly again, like I'd said something naive. No, he said. It's insurance. The line went dead. I sat there for a long time holding a phone that wasn't connected to anyone anymore. The next morning, an envelope appeared in my office mailbox. No return address. Inside was a single item, a photocopy of my original draft, the version with hi, and in the margin, written by hand, in ink that looked too dark to be cheap, 2 words, they edited. My stomach turned, because it wasn't a warning, it was proof. Somebody inside the system had access to my drafts. Somebody inside the system wanted me to know the truth could be overwritten. And somebody inside the system wanted me to start writing it down anyway. That was the day I bought the notebook. That was the day I started this diary. Not because I wanted to confess, because I realized I was standing between 2 machines. One machine that wanted faster triggers. One machine that wanted cleaner lies. And both of them wanted a scapegoat. I didn't lose my clearance that day. That would have been obvious. They did something smarter. They left me just enough A and just enough restriction. My report stayed in the system. My correction didn't. From that moment on, every keystroke mattered. Every pause was logged. Every decision carried a shadow. They never told me I was under review. They didn't have to. Because the system had already learned my pattern. That was when I realized something worse than erasure. They weren't trying to silence me. They were waiting to see what I would do when the next window opened.